The other thing I wanted to touch on are these selectors here. How should you name them? Should you have a dash in there? Could you use app header, so a case sensitive name? The answer is yes. You can use case sensitive selectors because since we're using the single file component, we don't have this DOM restriction that the DOM is case insensitive. If you were to use another template, like with this template property where you pass a string, or by inferring the template with L, as we learned it earlier in the course, you would have these restrictions, because there we use the native DOM as our template, and when doing so, we have to respect the limitations of the DOM, and not knowing about cases is one such limitation. Here, we're using a single file template or component in this case, and therefore it is getting compiled to JavaScript before it runs in the browser anyways. Hence, we can use case sensitive selectors because JavaScript is case sensitive and our template here will be stored as a string kind of, and therefore this is not a problem. So we could name this app header. If we don't use a dash, of course, we could also remove the quotation marks. And you will now see that if I change this to app header up here too, and I hit save, my server is still running, and well, we update this, it still works, we still see the header. The interesting thing is, if I change this back to app header with a dash, and I still have app header capital case down there, you will see it still runs. That is because Vue.js will automatically give us access to the, well, hyphenated version of our selector here. So by splitting it when we have such a capital case and giving us access to the same selector with a dash in between. But there's no reason to use that if you want to have your selectors like this, that's perfectly fine. Though it's pretty common to use a setup where you have dashes instead, because in the end that resembles the normal HTML tags where you also have dashes, and which of course are not case sensitive because the DOM isn't. So here, this is the classical setup you see, but I wanted to make you aware that you can use the other setup. And what you can always do is you can simply rely on Vue.js giving you this hyphenated version of the selector, like we saw before with app header in camel case down there, but using a dash in between up here. This is what Vue.js does automatically for you, and with that you're able to maybe use this more JavaScript-like style with camel case property names in your JavaScript code, while still using the DOM style of having a dash in between in your template. So that would be another option. As a side note, with ES6, you also got the option to not have a property, not have a value here, but only specify servers here, for example. What this will do is pick your server's variable or the object we're importing up here, and it will behind the scenes automatically create a key value pair where both is servers. So this is what is done behind the scenes. That's not Vue.js, this is ES6, which again we can use because it gets transpiled to ES5 in this workflow. So we could use this shortcut. Then of course we would need to adjust our selector here, and we can use servers with a lowercase s to let Vue.js again do the adjustment behind the scenes. And you see it still works, but now with this different selector where we use this shortcut of using the name of the property. This of course has the disadvantage that we don't have app dash something or app something, but only servers, which might not be a unique selector, but I wanted to show you this option too. Again, the classic thing or the normal thing you do is you use these selectors like this with a dash in between, or like this and let Vue.js enter the dash, and always use the dash version of a selector in the template, but you don't have to.